Alright, hello everybody, welcome back. Today we'll be making a patio table. This is part of an entire set. The plans for this I got from Stanley. This is part of the Lynchfield line. There's a double bench, there's chairs, there's planter boxes. What we'll be working on is the table. Right, I know I said in my last video the next project would be in metric. However, there is no metric equivalence. All the dimensions are in English, so that's what we'll be going with. Anyway, to build this table, you will need 1x4s for the tabletop, 2x4s for the legs and stretchers for the base. You'll need 1¼ inch and 3-inch exterior grade screws, 4 corner brackets. Also, you'll have to get some 5/8" screws. The screws that come with this are a little bit too long. It would come up through the tabletop. Tools: tape measure, combination square, jack plane and block plane again, miter saw, miter box, panel saw, 1/4 inch chisel. If you have an 1.5" chisel, as I stated previously, the chisel set I got only came with an 1¼ inch, so that's what I'm using. Mallet, brace with a countersink bit, and you can also get a screw bit, or if you want, you can just use regular screwdrivers, and a drill with a 1/16 inch bit. And our first project was also a table, and it was an end table. This is a patio table. It's for the outside, and it takes some of the things we've already done and kind of expands on them and offers new twists. So, first off, as you can see, I got pretty much all of this cut because I want to try and get this done in one go. And you've already seen how to measure and cut pieces. Basically, you measure them to length, you cut them with your saw, you set this to whatever width you need, run that with your pencil line, rip it, and then clean up the saw marks with your jack plane and block plane. That's kind of standard operating for, getting your pieces. So there's really no need to go over that again. Okay. So I will set these off to the side because we won't need them. Okay. Tools that we'll still need, I'll put in my tool well. The last few benches I've made have all had a tool well. They come in handy, but they can also be a pain. Okay. Now, your tabletop, you're going to need 2 pieces that are, let's see, you'll need 2 pieces that are 1x3 by 17 inches. So, of course, that's a nominal. These are actually 2 3/4. So actual size is going to be 3/4 by 2 3/4 by 17 inches. All right. Next, you'll need your inside slats, which are going to be 3/4 by 2 3/4. And right now they're rough cut to 31 inches, but the finished length will be whatever the final inside dimension is going to be. We'll need 4 of those. Next, you'll need your perimeter boards. You'll need 2 long ones at 36 inches and 2 small ones at 18 inches, giving you a ratio of 2 to 1, and they'll be mitered on the end. So, and they're also 3/4 by 2 3/4. Now, the way you do your miter, all right, first decide which face you like best. All right, I like this face best, so these sides are going to be opposite. So this goes in here, so these will come in here. Once you do that, you'll take your combination square, and this here is 45 degrees. Is what you want. And so what you will do with either your pencil or your scratch-all, line it up so the blade is just past the corner. Okay? Now like I said, I already cut these to 18 inches. They're actually just a touch long because you're going to lose a little when you cut. So I made an allowance for that. And now I'll mark the 45 out on the other side. Now, once they're laid out, you can freehand cut it, or you can use your miter box. I like to use I'll start out in the miter box, but then I'll finish freehand. So, on top of your miter box, this is a simple miter box. There's little marks as to what each one is. This one right here is going to be 45 degrees. So you're going to just slot your saw in, and then line your saw up with your mark, and then you're just going to go okay. Now you just do the same thing but the opposite. Line it up with your 45 degrees. Slot your saw in. Make sure you're on your line. Okay. Oops. Alright, now that I've used this to get my line started, I'll take my one hold fast. If you want to do it this way, you can get whatever clamping mechanism you have, but hold it down to your work surface. There you go. And now you just finish up. There's one, and here's two. Okay, and there you go. And you would just do that for all your outside pieces until they're all mitered. Okay, and we'll put that right up there. Next, your base, your stretchers. You'll have two stretchers, two short stretchers, and they will be, let's see, 14.5 inches long, and they'll have a tenon on the end. Now, if you remember the last table we did, we actually cut slots that ran the entire length of the board going in. Here we're not going to do that. Here we're actually going to leave a little bit on top, and this is called a mortise. So like I said, we're taking what we've already done by expanding upon it. And since, not only that, and since we're leaving a little bit above, we're going to have to cut a little bit away. Also, we'll have to remove some on this side and some on this side to create the tenon, the tab, that will slot in. Okay, so we got two that are 14.5. Okay, I already got the tenons all cut. Then we have the two long ones, which will be 27 inches. And these, not only will they have the tenons, but they'll also be notched out to take the brace for the top. And now I'll show you how to lay out both the tenon and the mortise, and how to lay out and do the notch. So, the tenon. First, you'll set your gauge to 3/8 of an inch. Okay. Right, once that's done, oh, actually no, I forgot a step. First, you'll measure in 1 inch. Your long pieces will have a tenon on each end that's 1 inch long. The short pieces will have, their tenons will be 3/4 of an inch. But the way for laying them out and cutting them is the exact same. However long you're going to make them, and on the long ones they're going to be 1 inch. You measure it out, 1 inch. Okay. You set your combination square so it covers the whole. Now you mark. 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 And finally, mark. Oops. Moved on me. There we go. Alright. Now, you set your blade to 3/8. Alright, and now I'll do it on this side. You mark down. Make sure you mark off the same face. Remember what I said about establishing a datum surface? Your datum surfaces are your reference. Okay. Now you got the one cheek laid out. Now, it's going to be 3/4 of an inch wide. You have a 3/4 inch chisel. And I'll let you know a little secret. No chisel is exactly what it says. It's not going to be exact. Especially when you have ones that try to be both. 3/4 is 18 millimeters. One's going to be a little bit off. Either the metric's going to be a bit wide or the English is going to be a little bit narrow. But I know this is how wide my tenon is going to be. I mean, how wide my mortise is going to be. So I need to make my tenon as wide. So I'll line my chisel up with the line I made. And just like a gauge, I'll lay that out. Lay that out. And lay that out. Now since it's haunched, that's what it's called when you just have the top cut, but the rest of it goes full length. When you have a haunched chisel, a haunched tenon, that means you're going to take some away. In this case, it's 1 inch. So now I'll set it for 1 inch. Now I have all my lines that I'm going to cut. Next, I get a spacer. Well, I had a spacer. I'll just use one of these. Basically, with this, you just need something the same thickness down here that your board is on top. If you don't have this type of vise, then you don't have to worry about it. Alright, now we just clamp this up. There we go. Now, it's on a diagonal, that way I can see my top and side lines at the same time. That'll give me 2 axes to cut on. I need to cut on the outside line. So I'll set my saw up, draw back, and then advance on both lines simultaneously. Constantly making sure I'm right with both. Alright, now, you don't have to, but what I like to do, just for accuracy's sake, is just flip it around. That way my orientation to the lines, the cut, and the saw are all the same. However, you don't have to do this. It's just something I do. Once again, you want to saw to the waist side. The side that's going to be cut away. There we go. Now, while I have it in the vise, I'll straighten it up. And cut down. Okay, here we go. Now, how you do this is up to you. You can cut the haunch out first if you want to. Since that's what I'm going to do since I'm already at the vise. And I still get my reference lines on the side. Now I'll take my miter box. This time I'll be doing it at the 90-degree setting. Line it up. There we go. One. Two. Now we have our mortise. Sorry, we have our tenon. Okay. And that's kind of it for those for a while. I'll just set them off to the side. And now we're going to go on to making the mortise pocket. Alrighty. Now, here we go. Already got the side. Now once again, you'll set it to 3/8 of an inch. I already have it here. The lines laid out. Basically, you come down an inch, then to 2.5 inches. And this will mark out where your tenon is going to be. Now that you got it 3/8 of an inch, you want to come in off the opposite side of your pocket. Just mark that out. Next, you want to take, get your mallet here. You want to take your 3/4 inch chisel, line that up with your line, and mark. Now you have your mortise pocket laid out. Next, it's just what you think it is, chopping away. So I'll start out one line. Okay. Now switch around to the other line. Now I'll take my wide chisel and mark out the sides. Now you don't have to do it this way. There's a way to chop out a mortise that you don't have to score the sides. I personally, this is the way I do it. This is the way I've always done it. So this is what I'm always comfortable with. But I do know how to do it the other way. And now it's just, let me just take it. Take that out. And once you got your initial cut made, you don't have to score it anymore. Scoring the sides is just what you do to start. Okay. Now, this will go down 3/4 of an inch, as opposed to 1 inch for your long pieces. And that's because you have, this is thicker this way, so you can go deeper. Okay, if you went down an inch here, you would only have 1/2 inch of board. Whereas by going down 3/4, you have 3/4 of an inch of board left to act like protection. Okay, so. Now there's other ways to hold this too. You can chisel up against a bench stop, or you can do it in a vise, or you can clamp it down to your work table. In fact, all those are a lot safer than the way I'm doing it, but this is just an unsafe practice I've picked up. So do as I say, not as I do. Okay? In fact, let me move this. Let me get benched up. Move the legs out of the way. Move the directions out of the way. And put this up. Okay. Now I won't accidentally gouge myself. Which, believe it or not, I have done. And I have the scars to prove it. So, and this is all that it is. It's just chiseling down, chiseling out until you're down far enough. Now I gotta have a pretty good idea of what a 3/4 inch depth looks like. Oops. You might want to check it every once in a while. And the way you can check it is you just set your combination square to 3/4 of an inch. And then whenever you want to do a check, you'll set this in here like this. As you can see, we got a lot more to go. But eventually, whenever you bottom out and your guide becomes flush, that's when you know you've gone down far enough. But we still got a ways to go. And this, like I said, this is another reason why I try to do most of it before starting. So a lot of it is just, doing the same thing over and over again. So, I mean, you watch me cut one mortise, you kind of know how to do all the mortises. You don't really need to see me do all 8 of them. Same way with cutting the tenons. You don't need to see me do all 8 of those. Okay. Alright. Roll this over. Tap out any waste. Now we'll do our check. seems pretty good. Just need to clean up a little here. There you go. All right. And now, all you have to do is check. And the best way to check is to grab a piece. And it's snug, not overly tight. Got flushness. We're good. Like I said, you do that 8 times. Because you got 2 mortise pockets for each leg. Now, for your haunches. Your haunches are going to be 1 inch back from your cheek face. So 1 inch back from here. So you mark 1 inch. And then you come in 2 3/4. Okay. And that gives you the outline of what you need. Alrighty. So now, just put it in your vise. Or you can clamp it to the table, either or. Just so long as you have it secured so it won't move on you while you're sawing. So, right now, and you want to mark it out. Okay, so you mark down, mark down, mark down, mark down, and you go to a depth of 3/4, and you do that by setting your combination square to 3/4, and you just mark the line. All right. So now you start to saw, and you'll want to be sawing inside the line because that's the waste part. Okay. All right, now. Now, when I laid these out, I actually laid them out with the 2 side pieces together so I could lay them out simultaneously. So I know that when my lines would sync up. Okay. Now take it out. Now you want to just take your wide chisel. And this is the simplest operation of all. Just chop out your waste. You don't want to use a